Hello and good evening, and welcome to the Arsenal Women Chat Show. Sorry we're late. We were waiting on the boss. Unfortunately, he's running late himself. So me and Paul are just going to take it away and start, and hopefully George will come in whenever he's ready to come in. So obviously we're going to review a bit of Leicester, and then obviously go on to Saturday's events. So Paul, I'll let you kick it off with what you want to kick it off with, and we'll just have a discussion about it. And hopefully in the comments, some people will support us along the way.
Well, I suppose the first place to start will be the starting lineup. Obviously,
Yeah.
we knew there was the question marks over Russo and Kelly. Dropped for this one, rested nicely for Saturday.
Yeah.
The other one that was obviously a question before the game was Katie McCabe, but we saw her start at left back. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty much starting lineup that we were predicting pretty much before the game started. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think the only one I was a bit concerned over was obviously Katie McCabe. I thought Jenna would have maybe have got a start, but of course Katie didn't look like her injury bothered her much, but Anne played the full 90 minutes, and I thought she would have been one of the ones we would have took off. But of course, I think it was the right decision to obviously put her in there. She's been our one of our starting 11 all season, and if she was fit, then she's fit. Of course, put her in. But of course, when we touched on it a bit, like Chloe Kelly and Russo, we definitely know it's been confirmed that for Saturday it should be all good. Renee spoke about that in a Sky Sports interview after the game, that they should be all good. Of course, the other question is Daphne Van Domsela. Don't know if it's Claudley's dark arts there that we're using, but of course, we'll see when it comes to Saturday what the outcome of that one is. So obviously we'll start with the starting 11. Manu in goals. How did you think she did, Paul?
Well, I only saw the highlights, so I didn't manage to catch the entire game. But I mean that goal that she conceded, yes, she didn't dive for it, whereas Daphne, I think, probably would have done, but she probably saw it late. There were a couple of players in front of her, so I wouldn't say it was 100% her fault.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch it back, I watched it back. Obviously, I like to watch the game back the day after, because when I watch a game, I'm quite hyped up when I'm watching it through TV and whatever. And I always like to do the same when I've been at a game. I always like to watch it back and actually. I know I'm one of the ones in the group chat that's like, nah, just right in there with my opinions, and maybe I shouldn't until I've watched that game again. But when I watched it back, there couldn't have been much done about it. When you watch it, defenders are blocking a view. Of course, you know yourself, when your view's blocked, there's no chance of you getting to that. The only other thing that we could have possibly said, she was a bit flat-footed, but hey-ho, we move on.
Yeah,
5 goals to the good. Yeah. Of course, we'll go with the defenders. We'll talk about that. Of course, our usual back four. What did you think of that one, Paul?
Yeah, when you're bringing in a goalkeeper that hasn't played for quite a while, and potentially could have a little bit not 100% confident there, you know, you've got to have your solid defence in front of you. And as you said a minute ago, you know, Katie was obviously fit. She played the whole 90 minutes. She was the only one I was sort of thinking might have not started, but it was good to see Amanda and Katie getting on and getting a few minutes as well. So Steph and Leah didn't obviously play the full 90 minutes, but we were far enough ahead by that point as well that, you know, they could have relaxed a little bit. So it was good that they were able to use some of the bench players and the squad players to come in. And this is the time of the season that's who you've got to use. You can't rely on the same 11 players with the same one or two coming off the bench. You've got to have your fully fit 20 players.
Yeah, I think we can. I don't know if you felt this and everybody else in the chat, but I think we've seen, obviously, the difference in Emily Fox obviously having the rest with the USA over the 2 legs at Brazil. I really noticed the difference in Emily Fox getting that break, and I think she deserved it as well. Do you agree with that, Paul?
Yeah, it was good. Good. Obviously, she's played such a lot for us, and also for America in the other international breaks, that she hasn't really been rested at all, has she? Possibly, if I remember right, was it the FA Cup game she didn't start? One of the early rounds we were in, but
Yeah, I think
other
so.
than that,
Yeah.
she's pretty much been there week in, week out. So yeah, she
Yeah.
needed a break, and all of them really needed a break at this sort of time of year, so we could do without this international games at this critical stage of the season, really.
Yeah, we spoke about that in the last podcast, didn't we? That of
Yeah.
course was agree that the April one should be cut out, but unfortunately that's not in our hands, and of course clubs are talking about it. Obviously we'll go with Leah and Steph, another solid performance again from them. Happy to see that connection still going strong, and for Steph, I don't know what those two headers at one point were about, but I thought she controlled that lovely, absolutely beautiful by Steph. But yeah, a positive game for them too again, and a positive setup for going into Lyon, because of course Lyon we'll touch on, but have a few problems themselves with their defenders as well. And of course we'll go into the midfield, which started with obviously Kimmy Little, Mariona, and did Mariona? Yeah, Mariona started obviously in the midfield, and bear with me here, it's a few days since it's passed.
Frida.
Frida, yeah. So we'll touch on that. Another positive game, of course, for Mariona. She's just off the charts, isn't she? I think I said it to James when she obviously was in the interview during getting her player of the match. Like, how lucky are we to have a player like Mariona at Arsenal and on a free as well? Wow. Like, just
we just seem to attract players on free transfers, don't we? Really,
oh yeah,
Mariota, Russo.
yep. They're just like the Arsenal, so they do. Of course, we'll talk about Kimmy Little. Another brilliant performance by Kimmy, I think. Especially for her to take on those defenders the way she did to lead up to Beth's goal. I thought it was spectacular, and we're seeing the best of Kimmy, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there were a few games where recently she hasn't stepped up. She's been looked lost on the pitch, but yeah, recently she's really stepped up, and the old Kimmy Little's back.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree there. The old Kimmy Little's back, and I think a fire has been lit under her butt, I think, as well. Of course, we'll touch on Frida as well. She set up the first goal for Caitlin Ford. But apart from that, I didn't. Again, we're not really seeing much of Frida.
Yeah, I mean, there was a great cross into the box for the first goal. Perfectly timed, perfectly weighted cross on there. There were a couple of other instances where she was trying a couple of different things, but it didn't really pay off. But other than that, yeah, again, she was a little bit quiet again on there. It's becoming a little bit worrying that she's that quiet on that many occasions. But when she does put a cross in, or she does put a move on that works, it really pays off.
Yeah, it's something spectacular. And of course, as we talk about going into the forward role, the boss has joined us. So if you want, George, we can finish this segment off, or do you want to just take over from here?
Yeah, just you carry on.
Yeah. So of course we'll go up to up front, and I'm sure we'll maybe bring a smile to Darren's face here, but Stina Blackstenius, we'll touch on her. Paul, sorry. I thought Stina was not brilliant, but I thought there were signs that Stina can show us what's actually in a player there. Even her off the ball work, I thought was spectacular. I don't know if you felt the same there, Paul.
Yeah, she came in. Obviously, she knows that she's not number one choice anymore in that role. But yeah, she stepped up and she scored a good goal. She also had a couple that they were misses, but when you take that many chances, you're going to score some, you're going to miss some. You're not going to get the 100% conversion rate each time. But yeah, I wonder whether training and that with Russo and watching what she does off the ball, whether a little bit of it's rubbing off on her, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, she's definitely up for it. On there, yeah.
And of course, then we'll touch on Beth and Caitlin. Of course, Caitlin getting the 2 goals, Beth getting her goal. I thought they were spectacular as well. And of course, the right time to take Caitlin off at half time, get her that rest. A great performance from the team all round for that one, for a 5-1 scoreline to Arsenal.
I think it was the perfect game to come back to after that international break before the Lyon game. It's not a team that's fighting for anything realistically. They're pretty much safe from the relegation. They're not going to finish much higher than they are. They were at the Emirates, back there again. So yeah, they could just try some new things, get in the minutes, get used to each other again, and yeah, ready for Saturday.
Yeah. Hand over to you, boss. Whatever you've got to say from here on in is on to you.
Cheers. Yeah, thanks for that. Sorry, I'm late. I was doing something else, like another podcast. So, yeah, I thought the Leicester game was definitely what we needed to come back to. Obviously, we saw some big squad rotation. I'm still sticking to it. I've called it since the international break. You will not be surprised who you'll be seeing on Saturday. The players that are so-called injured, I don't think they are. Yeah, we'll move on to actually previewing Saturday. Obviously, it's going to be an absolute massive game, isn't it, Paul? What's your feelings like going into it? Are you confident?
Yeah, I mean, we've shown recently we can pretty much beat anybody, and yeah, we turned that game around against Madrid. We scored 3 at the Emirates against them, and this is a team that beat Barcelona only a few days earlier. So yeah, we can do it. We know we can do it. The confidence is there after that result against Leicester. I don't think it'll be a huge scoreline. Yeah, getting my prediction in earlier, probably just a 2-0 to us. I can't see us running away with it, but at this stage in a competition, you are playing some of the best teams in Europe, so you're not going to see these high-scoring games anymore. But yeah, I'm very confident we can do it.
Yeah, I agree. Unless you're playing Real Madrid as Arsenal FC, then it's not high scoring at all. Just thought I'd drop that in. Yeah, Laura, I'll come to you. Obviously, I think the home leg, we need to probably try and get a couple of goals advantage. Would you agree with that? Because obviously going out to France, it's not going to be an easy performance, not easy atmosphere either, is it?
Yeah, I said it in the group chat earlier on when we were obviously discussing it. We were asked the question, what would we like going into the away leg? And I did say I'd like to see what the men did with Real Madrid, take a good few goals over to obviously Lyon's, take the good few goals over to Lyon and have a steady second leg. I agree with Paul. I can't see it being a big score, but again, if we have that distance, it it brings another team's morale down, because then they have to be the ones to fight back. I know, of course, Arsenal are the masters at coming back from games from being down, but you want to go away on that second leg and be comfortable.
Yeah. I'd like to know what James is on. That's I would like some of that. 5-0.
I'd like to know myself. I live with him, so I don't feed him anything that would make him think that's going to happen.
He's just off his head then. Okay, right. Too much iron brew. It's funny, James, because I don't even think Manu would play, so that's quite funny. No, I agree. Like, obviously, it's important to get that couple of goals cushion. Like, Paul, if we're going back to like other games, we've seen, obviously, it's been an amazing couple of weeks for Arsenal Football Club, but we see what the men done with Real Madrid. They had that home performance first. They got the 2-3 goal lead, and it kind of sets up some of the rest of the leg, doesn't it? So if we could do something similar like that against Lyon, I think we're definitely in a good position. You just got to put yourself in the best position possible, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we got the home leg first, so we know we're strong at the Emirates. We know us as fans get behind the team. We make the noise. We create the atmosphere, and the performances that we have had at the Emirates, if you ignore the first couple of the season under slightly different management, then we don't drop points, we don't concede silly goals, and we that will give us the advantage to get a couple of goals. Anything more than one really, because one is just too tight. But going into that second leg, you've got to have that 2, hopefully 3 goal cushion. And they've in the second leg, they've then got to come out to try and score. They can't just sit back, and then that gives us the advantage to get in behind them. Yeah,
because obviously if you've got that couple goals lead, Paul, as well, like you can just sit and absorb the pressure, can't you? Like you haven't, like we saw with the men, that you don't have to come out and like really attack the game, and all that does is falls into our favour, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we haven't got to go out and get the result in the second leg, if we've got that bit of a cushion, we let them come on to us. We just sit back, we absorb it, and then we know how much pace we have got up front, that you can just hit them a couple of times on the counter and get in behind their defence, and you sneak a nice away goal like that, then that will just drop their morale again in during the second leg, and puts us on that plane to Lisbon.
Laura, when it comes to the team, obviously I know there's a lot of talk about injuries and whether they are, whether they're not. What sort of lineup are you expecting to see? Is it is it quite different than the one that you think you'll actually see?
Yeah, I mean, of course we don't know what's going to happen with obviously Chloe Kelly and Leicester, so we don't know if they're going to start or are they going to come on the pitch at some point in the second half, or we just don't know. But I'd like to see them start to maybe pile the pressure on a little bit, and then if we're a good cushion ahead, then take them off and rest them for the next game that we possibly need them for. But yeah, same lineup at the back. Again, we don't know about Daphne, so of course, if it's not Daphne, then it's going to be Manu. And of course, the same midfield that we've seen for the last couple of weeks with Camilo, Mariona. I think Renee taking Frida off in the second half at half time against Leicester kind of gave us an idea who she's going to be starting anyway. Of course, there were just a few players that she didn't take off. So, yeah, I think if anything, it's going to be the same lineup as Leicester. If Chloe Kelly and Alyssa don't start.
Yeah. I get that. I think after the game we saw that They seem to be walking around on the pitch all right to me. So I'm putting it out there now. I'd be highly surprised if Russo and Kelly don't start. I don't know about Daphne. That's a bit different, but yeah. Paul, kind of echoing the same question what Laura's been asked. If these players are not 100% fit, do you surely risk them if they're like 80 or 90% fit, don't you? Because they can be rested in the league games.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't got a game during the week, have we? We've got Lyon back to back now, and then Villa away after the second leg. So yeah, we can, if they're up at sort of 80-90% fit, this is the game that you've got to play them in. Out of any of them, you've got to play your strongest 11 possible. You've got to get this result at home. Realistically, it is our only chance of a trophy this season. So yeah, you just got to go for it.
Yeah, I think defensively it's going to be quite a key, isn't it, Laura, as well? Because against that Lyon forward line, they're probably, they are the strongest forward line that we've faced in the Champions League so far, and that's not disrespecting to Bayern Munich or Real Madrid and the other teams we played, but Lyon's forwards are a lot better, aren't they? So, like, the whole defensive unit needs to sit, would you say, stand up?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you've got players like Hegerberg and a few other Lyon players that are there, then of course it's ones that you fear sometimes. But as you said, George, that's when our defensive line needs to step up and be brave and be bold. No backing away, and don't be backing off the one-on-ones, and just put your foot in, get the ball off them, be brave, and get the ball up the park. There's players that, as you said, there's players that we have in our side that you can get a ball up to in that park and they're happy to receive it. But yeah, of course we touched on it with Steph and Leah's relationship becoming strong in that back line. And of course, when you get one of the best left backs and right backs in the WSL, then of course you're looking for them to step up.
Best left back?
Best left back and right back. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Who do you think's the best left back in WSL, Lucy Bronze?
I don't know. No. I'll be positive. I think Katie McKay's a very, very good player, but yeah, maybe. She's in the top two. Yeah. That's positive. I think, obviously, Paul, I'm not saying this will happen, but obviously we did see Vicky play, was probably about 45 minutes on Tuesday?
Yeah, she came on at half time.
Yeah, so could you see her starting, or do you think that is far too early? And the only reason I say could you see her starting, because she seemed to be absolutely fine, and she was absolutely balling it in that number 10 role when she got. And I know it's Leicester and Lyon. The only similarities they have is that they both start with L. But yeah, could you see that, or do you think she'll come on?
It depends how far the medical team think she's ready. I mean, if they say, yes, she's ready for 90 minutes, then why not? You know you're playing on a decent pitch. You know you're playing at home. You know you're playing in front of that, 30,000 they've already said have sold for the game. So it could be the ace up the sleeve that Lyon are not expecting.
Yeah.
If it was the away leg first, maybe not, but with the home leg first, if she is at that stage where she can have at least an hour on the pitch, then start her, give her the hour, and then take her off for somebody else.
And that's what I mean. She's played 45 minutes and she looked brilliant again. So why not start her for say 60 minutes? I'm not saying that she has to play 90 minutes, Laura, but do you think that is a possibility, or do you think obviously it'll be like Frida will start and then Pelova will come on?
Of course, as you say, George, we've seen Frida go off at half time and Vicky come on. I don't know if maybe that was Renee maybe looking to see who is going to be a starting number 10 for Lyon. So was it a test to see who it's going to be? Personally, I would pick Vicky Pelova over Frida. As me and Paul touched on it at the start of the show, it's like Frida does so many things and then it's like fade into the background. As whether Vicky P, I don't think we stopped talking about her the second half that she come on. And I've touched on it so many times. For somebody who's just come back from an ACL, she has no fear at all. She's shown no fear. She's happy to go on and put the work in the pitch. And why not put somebody like that on that's willing to prove themselves, show us what she's done and what she's willing to do. And I know it was a big question. We said, where is Vicky Pelova going to fit in the team when you've got the likes of Mariona, Kimmy Little, such and such? We are seeing signs of what Vicky Pelova can do for the team when she's back on the pitch.
Yeah, I agree. And I think she's got that world-class ability to change a game in a split second, Paul, as well, with Vicky P as well. Like, I'm not saying Frida doesn't do that, because we've seen her score some very big goals for the club. But like you said, could Vicky be the ace that we need? And I think what also we saw as well is that you can see people like Pelova and Mariona being able to fit into that same system, which I think's quite important going forward as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, like we said earlier, Marnham, Frida does score some great goals. She does do some great assists and things, but yeah, they are becoming fewer and farther between. Whereas Vicky just seems to get on with it, and you're constantly seeing her here, there, and everywhere popping up for that ball and getting in behind defenders, and she sort of makes a bit of a nuisance of herself, a bit more than Frida does. So, like I said, if she's ready for at least the 60 minutes, then get her on that pitch.
Yeah, I just think it would be something that we could be ready to see, Laura. Obviously, if you've got a midfielder going, say Kim, Mariona, Pelova, Kelly if she's fit, Russo if she's fit as well, with Beth or Caitlin, that's a very attack-minded team, and we've seen with some of those players that they can make those golden opportunities into goals. Like I think Beth Mead hasn't got enough credit recently either.
Yeah, exactly. She hasn't got enough credit lately. Of course, we've seen her score the goal against Leicester, and I don't think anybody's even noticed this season the work that Beth puts in, even off the ball again. Of course, people are expecting Beth Mead to constantly score goals, but that's not a winger's job. I know it's not. No matter what people say, we need our wingers to score goals as much as we need our striker to score goals. But it's really not a job. Her job is to obviously help get up that pitch, get the ball across, and get it into obviously a space that creates a chance for us. But yeah, I mean, Beth's off the ball work has been brilliant this season. But of course, as you says, touching on the whole Vicky P, Mariona, either Beth or Caitlin, Russo and Kelly, I'd fear to come up against that myself.
Yeah. Paul, just moving on to the point about Beth and Caitlin, obviously last couple of games we've seen, they've been putting the performances, the goals are flying in now. They don't look like players that want to leave, do they? Do you think they're actually they're playing to try and get this new deal, or do you think they're just being really professional, that's just how they are?
I just think they're enjoying playing football at the moment. Yeah, we saw it towards the end of last season And the beginning of this season, there were quite a few players that obviously weren't. But I just think we're getting the results. The whole team, right from the back to the front, is just gelling together. And people like that, I think, just thrive on it. And they're showing it in their performances. It is that time of year that contracts are being discussed and, hopefully being signed by a few players to keep them here. But, if they're putting in the performance, then, I know a few people were calling for half the team to be transferred earlier in the season. And on the performance back then, I'd agree. But they've all stepped up, and especially Beth and Caitlin have really come into their own, especially since Chloe signed on there to add a bit of competition for the place. It just seems to have lifted all their games, which can only benefit the whole team.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at it mathematically, we are actually still in the title race as well. I know people say, "Oh no, we're not," but technically we are.
Yeah, I mean, we're 3 points off the top. We've got a better goal difference than Chelsea.
Yeah. It takes one slip up, really.
Yeah, I mean, can I see us winning our last 3 WSL games? Yes. Can I see Chelsea dropping? Well, they've got a game in hand over us. Can I see them dropping 6 points from their last 4? Probably not.
I mean, they've still got Man U to play, so
but
they've still got Man United to play. They've still got Liverpool to play. Like Palace are going to be fighting for every point. Like that's bang in the middle of their 2 really massive semi-final Champions League fixtures. Like stranger things have happened. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. I think we had the advantage that we played Leicester this week, whereas they're playing their rearranged fixture in between the 2 Champions League games. So that's got to be to our advantage.
Yeah.
So
I'll go around and get your predictions for the game, which probably that'll be fun. Laura, I'll start with you. What's your prediction and first goal scorer?
I think it'll be 3-1 to us. I think we'll win 3-1. They'll get a goal, and I think the first goal will be Chloe Kelly if she starts.
Yeah. Paul, what about you?
I'm going to stick with me 2-0, and I can see it being Beth getting the goal.
Cool. I'm going to go. Why not? 3-0. And Kim Little to score the first goal. Yeah. I think written in the stars. All the Scottish mafia coming down. Why not? This way. So yeah, drop your predictions in the chat. Obviously, another positive show with Arsenal Football Club generally just doing really well. Well, especially in Europe. So yeah, there's a lot to celebrate. Before we move on, I'm just going to come to a point what Paul was saying about a lot of us said earlier in the season that half the squad should be sold. There's just a chat I was having with Dorian about this before. Laura, are we at the same thinking of that? Or do you think now Renee's obviously getting the best out of the players that she's got and under more happier, say, stewardship maybe, or like atmosphere being better, do you think that they can push us towards where we want to be with some signings that can get us over the line? Or do you still think in the summer we still need to get rid of a few?
Sorry, George, I cut out there for that question. I don't know what happened to my internet. The only thing I got was, do you think that obviously the players that we were saying at the start of the season, do we still want to keep them, or do we still want to see them go?
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Okay, okay. Do you think that a lot of us said about half the squad needs to be sold and all that stuff, but since Renee's took over, we've been playing really, really well. We're in the semi-final of the Champions League. We're second in the league. Do you still think that big exodus needs to happen, or do you think under Renee that she can push them to winning the title?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a great debate, isn't it? Like, obviously, some people within like our group chat and whatever, or within our community, are like, "Oh, there's still players. There is still players I genuinely still don't want to see at Arsenal next season." But there is players that we spoke about at the start of the season that I would really like to see stay, and that's of course Beth Mead, Caitlin Ford, and I'd like us to obviously keep Chloe Kelly going into the next season. So I say that simply because I want to see what Renee can do with those players, rather than what, as you call them, what that fraudulent did last season and the season before with them. So hoping players like that stay with us. If not, then it's obviously been a choice that they've made, and of course we're not going to hold a grudge against that if they do decide to move on. But players, i.e. like Stina, who hasn't really, I know in big games she's pulled us out, unless there's a promise next season that she's happy to either A, sit in the bench, and B, pull her socks up when she is on the pitch and actually learn the offside rule and learn where the target of the goal is. And we joke about it all the time. And of course, Codina's not really brought anything to us. Her tag hasn't even been around much this season. Players like that just take up space on the bench, they can go. I'm happy with Beth obviously staying and Caitlin staying.
Yeah. What's your views on that, Paul, with that question, like with the squad? Like, I think there's been a good few of us on the podcast that said, like, Manu, Kadina, Amanda, like, Stina, Frida, just to name a few of them, that, oh yeah, get them out in the summer, we need better players and that. But under Renee, like, if you look at a record, I think the only teams we've not beaten is Chelsea and Man United under her, isn't it? Like, in the league, obviously, and then we lost to City in the cup. But all the other teams, we've been doing what teams in title races would do, probably similar to what Chelsea would do, then they put teams to the sword. So, do you think we actually need that much change?
Like Laura's just said, I think there's a few players that are just taking up space in the squad. Obviously, Lena being one of them. Kadina always seems to be picking up these little injuries and not getting time. We obviously don't know what the deal is with Amanda at the moment. She's obviously still not up to full game time. And I think for next season, if we're going to be serious contenders in 4 competitions, we need players that are not going to be constantly in and out. But saying that, we have got some players coming through, the likes of Taya Goldie and obviously Michelle as well. I'd like to see those brought into the squad and used in the matches as well. And yeah, if we obviously don't know what length contract Stina signed last year, whether it was 1 year or 2 year on there. If she's got another year to go on it, then as long as she's happy to be like the number 2 striker and be on the bench quite a bit at the time, but maybe bring Michelle in as a sort of you're in the squads, you'll get a bit of game time, and in a year's time you're going to be that number 2 striker to Russo. You know, and maybe give sort of Stina another year on there if she's happy to do that.
Yeah. I appreciate the comments in the chat. Daz, I reckon you'd be good up front, mate. Stina and Beth apparently gone to City. I've never heard so much rubbish in my life. Why would Stina go to City? And that's not even a dig at Stina. Why would she? Like, she wouldn't play. She'd be in the same position as she is at Arsenal. She wouldn't start. So I don't really
obviously Dorian's touched on the whole Wienreuter situation as well. I think it's very clear that
the fourth best
Wienreuter is
right back
out the door anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that Wienreuter is out the door anyway. With of course the comments that she made. It's a bit like obviously Chloe with City. We know her situation, but of course we don't really know what's happened with Laura Wienreuter. But I think it's safe to say that she's at the door anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like, it's like what Dorian said. Like, a lot of players have done well, so obviously Rene's going to have the next season to also from the summer bring her own players in that she wants. Like, what we're seeing is players doing well, but again, Laura, there are players there that I think there's higher level quality players out there, like replacing players like Frida Mornan. I don't think she's consistent enough for me. Like, so obviously you've got Amanda hasn't played regularly for not her own fault or anything, but Amanda, Frida, and maybe Stina is happy the way she is, or she might want to leave. Like, you couldn't begrudge Stina Blastinius leaving to play regular first team football, could you?
No, you can't. As I says, you've got to take your hat off to what Stina has done for us. I just think this season has maybe drowned her out a little bit. But you won't. You, as I says, you won't basically begrudge any player that decides to leave at the end of the season. Of course, some of those ones that we do think that are going to leave, of course, they've gave their service to the club and that's it. We just have to accept that, just the way we did with Viv. Well, our majority. I know there's obviously ones on X that don't agree that Viv was let go, but Stina, you, as a striker, you are going to want the game time, and of course, as you says, she's already either decided that she's not staying or she's decided she's staying. And
especially with Michelle doing what she done for England, I think Stina isn't stupid. She's probably looking at that and thinking Michelle's Paul's going to probably be the up and coming striker at Arsenal behind Russo, and she's probably thinking, do I need to fight for that against someone who's a young star up and coming, or do I go somewhere that I can play in the next 2-3 years, week in, week out?
Yeah, I mean that situation's very similar to the Wienreuter and Katie Reid situation at right back. When if Michelle does come back and she gets into the squads and she's coming on for sort of 20 minutes at a time at the end of a game for a few games, you've got to really sit there and look at yourself and think, I'm an international player for my country and I'm being overlooked by an academy player. I now need to move on to be getting the games to, I don't want to be sat on the bench the whole time. And that's exactly what happened with Laura and Katie. When you're an established international player and you've got an 18-year-old coming through and taking your position, then it's sort of the same thing all over again.
Yeah,
but then of course, sorry, George.
No,
but then of course, these youngsters are going to want that. They're hungry. They're young players who are hungry for the start. So of course, when they go into training and things like that, they're going to show, oh, I'm hungry for the start. So to me, looking in at that as a fan, I'm looking and saying, well, hold on a minute here. Katie Reid must have went into training and really showed what she can do over Laura Wienreuter, who is a natural for that position. So what did Laura do that Katie Reid done better?
Yeah. Just want to say thanks for the comments, Joe. Great to have you here, mate. I agree with what you said about Mido. Like, I do think under Rene, she's starting to get back to the best form that we've seen for quite a long time. So I wouldn't be I'm not one to say that I would get rid of Beth. Like, if the opportunity is there for her to stay, then I would keep her. And also, Joe said Stina would get 90 minutes in Sweden. That's a fair point, quite regularly. So this is what I mean. Like, it's an interesting summer because I think you probably also see what direction the club's moving. Would you say that, Paul, as well?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the transfer market and who they do bring in, and how serious they're going to take next season. Because at the end of the day, we've got Renee in now. She's got to be given the freedom to pick her own team. Because at the end of the day, the team she's got at the moment is the one that she inherited, with only obviously Jenna and Chloe coming in January. So yeah, we'll have a good indication what their ambitions are, shall we say, for the next couple of years from what business they do.
Yeah, what's your views on that, Laura? Do you think, obviously, what the summer we see, do you think that shows the perspective where Arsenal are looking at, say, under Renee and Claire, and I'm assuming Berta will have some sort of say, or do you think it's just going to be same old as normal, like as from before?
I do genuinely think we need to obviously give Renee her people and who she wants to bring in, and then of course let's see what she does in the season with those type of players that she does bring in. Or as we touched on, she's going to have to make those strong decisions of having to let players go. But yeah, I think whatever happens for here on in, going into the next season, then of course it's going to need to be the point where we come back with more than obviously a Subway Cup.
Yeah, I know there was a comment said that Renee said she wasn't involved in the signings. No, I get that, but maybe she's got a few ideas that she obviously mentions to whoever is in control of it higher up to say, like, these are the sort of players that I'm looking at, maybe. But I suppose we won't know until the summer, really. But what we'll probably wrap it up there. Just as it's, I keep thinking it's Friday. It's not, is it? It's Thursday. So yeah. Just want to say thanks to my guests, Laura. Thank you for saving the day.
As always, buddy, always got your back. But
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing you this weekend, and of course, getting the games ready to go. And I'll be happy to see you this weekend.
Yeah, it'd be good. Been a while, so yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to start calling you like the female Declan Rice of the podcast. Like, you're becoming a hero, Laura.
For me, yeah. That's the first I've heard that one, but I'll take that.
I don't know how good you are at free kicks, so we'll have to talk about that.
Shit, I'm shit.
Paul, thank you as always. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys have a great day on Saturday, and yeah, think of me working my way all day, missing the entire game.
Yeah, I thought about it, mate, but it's over now.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
I could always FaceTime video you from a blind guy every time we score if you want. Like, you know what I mean? But no,
so I'll get my football fix in for tomorrow night.
Cool. You're going to Southampton. Are you going to Southampton?
Yeah, Southampton against London City.
Yeah, so that'd be good. Couple of Arsenal loanees on show there, hopefully.
Hopefully there'll be 4 of them. 2 at Southampton and 2 at London City.
Who is it? It's Viv, isn't it? Viv and
Layla at Southampton, and Taya and Freya at London City.
So yeah, that'd be good. Hopefully, is that on anywhere, or is that like on YouTube or something?
It's on YouTube.
Okay, I might give that a watch. So yeah, thank you though, and we'll catch up soon. I'm sure we'll catch up. Are you at Brighton?
Hopefully.
Okay,
hopefully.
Cool. So yeah, just want to say thank you to all the people who've commented. I really, really appreciate your support, and also I've not been here the last couple of shows, but so I really appreciate you supporting the guys. Remember to hit that like and hit that subscribe button. It really, really helps. Anyone watching wants to get involved, coming on the shows, as long as you support Arsenal and not like a massive fan of Man City players, especially you're welcome. But all jokes aside, everyone's welcome. We will catch up with you guys next week. All we've got left to say is everyone have a lovely Easter, keep safe, and come on, you Gunners.